In the year 317 of the Pars era, when the Lusitanian army invaded Marium, the ally of Kingdom Pars, Pars retaliated on this day by confronting Lusitanian kingdom with a powerful force, led by their king Andragoras III, and crushed them. Meanwhile, in the royal capital of Epatana, Prince Arslan, the crown prince of the kingdom of Pars, receives sword instruction from Supreme Commander Varus. Arslan loses the combat, and Varus wants him to grow stronger because with such feeble actions, he won't become a good king. Prince Arslan is timid and needs to work very hard to become a powerful and deserving king of Pars. King Andragoras returns from his victory against the war with the Lusitanian. The people of the kingdom, along with Prince Arslan and Varus, are gathered to welcome the king and its army. Pars' army brings some Lusitanian prisoners. Among them is a kid who participated in the war. After greetings with the victorious army of Pars, Prince Arslan goes to talk with Lusitanian prisoners to learn more about their kingdom and their people, but Lusitanian prisoners deny being slaves and are furious with Pars. While this is going on, some Pars children plan to teach Lusitanian prisoner a lesson for opposing Pars on the battlefield. However, things don't go as planned, and a Lusitanian kid takes one of the kids hostages. The Lusitanian kid is approached by Prince Arslan, who has already arrived, and asks him to release the hostage kid. The young Lusitanian concurs, but he devises a scheme and overpowers Prince Arslan's guard to abduct the prince. In the meantime, guards from the kingdom learn of Prince Arslan's kidnapping and proceed to rescue him. The Lusitanian boy holding Prince Arslan captive manages to get away from the Pars guards. The Lusitanian child views Prince Arslan as a timid, spoiled, affluent boy despite the fact that he is the crown prince of the Pars kingdom. While running from guards when they are on the kingdom wall, a Lusitanian kid reveals the reason why they kill or brutally punish those who do not obey their god of Yaldabaoth. Lusitanians believe that all are equal and treat everyone equally, but the people of Pars are cruel to their slaves and weak people. So, according to the god of Yaldabaoth, those who don't treat people equally have no right to live. The Lusitanian kid's words make Prince Arslan wonder about it. Cavalry Captain Dariun and his soldiers were already looking for Prince Arslan to approach them. Lusitanian kid finds no escape and grabs Prince Arslan to jump down the wall into the water. He steals the horse and runs away towards his kingdom. Captain Dariun prepares to shoot an arrow at the Lusitanian boy, but Prince Arslan stops him and lets the Lusitanian kid run away. In addition, he extends forgiveness to the children who brought him into the predicament, since Prince Arslan is genuinely a kind-hearted person. When everyone, including Captain Dariun, wants Prince Arslan to be a strong future king, he cannot imagine ascending to his father's throne. He believes that the king will always keep the kingdom safe, and there will be no need for him to be the king. But who can stop the tide of destiny? In the Pars era of the year 320, 3 years later, the royal capital of Epatana surrounds by blood and fire. The army of the kingdom of Lusitania contrived to bring down the kingdom of Marium and then set out to invade the kingdom of Pars. In response, Andragoras led his army and marched to the fields of Adrepatene to intercept the invading army. For the battle with Lusitanian, Prince Arslan, at the age of 14, embarks upon his maiden battle. 8 powerful Pars cavalry captains lead an army of thousands of cavalrymen on the field of Adrepatene. They are certain that the Lusitanian soldiers will only face their defeat in this war. On the battlefield, Azrael, Aslan's beloved eagle, approaches him. Arslan is concerned about the issue since the weather appears clear, yet Azrael's feathers are damp. Captain Carlin takes note and heads out to thoroughly inspect the battlefield. Prince Arslan is mocked by the Parsian army as an ineffective, weak prince. Meanwhile, Captain Dariun shows up in front of the king and receives a reprimand for leaving the battleground. Dariun retreats under the belief that the Lusitanians are hatching a scheme by watching for the Parsian army to arrive at the plain field. He alerts the king to the current fog condition and reports that one of the king's men is treacherously revealing Parsian battle strategy to the Lusitanians. King, however, ignores Dariun's warning and takes over his position, allowing him to participate in the battle as a knight offers him one opportunity to gain his post back. When Varus and Prince Arslan come to Dariun, Varus takes an oath from his nephew Dariun to always remain loyal to Arslan in every possible condition. Carlin tells King there is no Lusitanian scheme since all is plain around the battlefield, according to his inspection of the area. Once everything has been examined and Pars is certain that they will win despite the fog condition, King gives the command to start the fight. He leads the army's full-force onslaught against the Lusitanians. In an effort to prove himself, Prince Arslan embraces the battle by joining the front lines. In a spur moment to everyone's shock, many soldiers abruptly fell into a trench obscured by the fog. To the horror of the Parsian army, the trench was filled with oil, and the soldiers who fell in met their doom from a hail of burning arrows. In the end, the Parsian army reroutes to locate a different front to engage the Lusitanian army. After finding another route, they are assaulted by another hail of arrows from a neighboring tower. Arslan leaves the front lines after being horrified by the enormous quantity of bloodshed. Prince Arslan encounters a Lusitanian soldier while running but engages in combat with him in an effort to kill him. In the meantime, Dariun is searching for Prince Arslan. Arslan is injured and horrified when he hears the voice of Carlin. He returns to Carlin's call, but when Carlin emerges from the fog, he is accompanied by Lusitanian soldiers. It soon becomes apparent that Carlin is the traitor who now demands the execution of Prince Arslan. Arslan engages Carlin in a one-on-one fight, but because of his injury, Arslan loses. Just when Carlin is ready to kill Arslan, Dariun shows up. Carlin reveals to Dariun that he did all this to dethrone the great king Andragoras. Moreover, he was the one who made Cain take Dariun's post as a cavalry captain because with Dariun leading the thousands of cavalrymen, he won't be able to stand against him. Dariun won't hold back and attacks Carlin with his spear. Both horsemen engage in a sword duel, and Dariun delivers some sharp swings toward Carlin. Carlin believes he won't be able to stand up to Dariun and retreats. The great battle upon Atropatene stands in favor of Lusitanian. It heaps the piles upon piles of dead Parsian soldiers. King makes the difficult decision to retreat in order to protect the royal capital. All of the Pars forces must receive the king's order to withdraw, but Carlin men shatter the horn and prevent the news from spreading. Instead, they circulate the rumors that Cain ran away. When the warriors of Pars learn that their great king escaped, they are startled. The captains argue with one another about this bogus information and appear to have different opinions. Just then, Lusitanian soldiers attack them, and half of the Parsian army engages in bloody combat instead of retreating. On the same day, the rest of the undefeated Parsian army led by Andragoras suffers a crushing defeat when they are ambushed by an arrow hail while retreating back to Pars. After Parsian soldiers suffer severe injuries, a visiting general from the kingdom of Lusitania, Lord Silver Mask, approaches King Varus. To protect King, Varus battles with Lusitanian soldiers. Despite his age, Varus exhibits amazing sword skills and cuts Lusitanian soldiers with his sharp blows. He engages in combat with the troops and eventually gets close to Silver Mask, who, in a fit of wrath, uses his double sword assault to kill Varus. Varus dies in front of King. After killing Varus, it appears that Silver Mask is not just another Lusitanian warrior, but rather had a relationship with the king dating back 16 years. It's only here to exact revenge on the king. On the battlefield, Prince Arslan and Dariun notice an injured Parsian soldier. The soldier informs that all the cavalry captains died in the battle. It all happened because King ran away, leaving his army behind. Prince Arslan wants to go back to the royal capital, but Dariun informs him that the way back is nothing but an ambush path by Lusitanian soldiers. As they cannot go back to royal capital, Dariun shows his desire to go to his friend Narcissus for help. General Baudouin and General Montferrat learn in the Lusitanian war camps that the Silver Mask has taken the mighty king of Pars prisoner. Dariun and Prince Arslan are presently traveling to see Narcissus. Dariun claims that Narcissus was once the lord of Dalim until his lord father exiled him from the court. Narcissus is a man who knows everything but exhibits poor skills in painting. Dariun and Prince Arslan reach the mountains where Narcissus resides. They are attacked by Narcissus' student, but when Dariun reveals his identity, Narcissus' student Elam takes them to his master's cottage. When they approach Narcissus' cottage, Narcissus emerges with a paintbrush. Once Prince Arslan introduces himself, they enter the cottage. When inside, Prince Arslan is shocked to see how poorly Narcissus paints. However, Narcissus exudes pride in his artistic creations. During supper, at Prince Arslan's request, Narcissus narrates a 5-year-old event in which he fought for Andragoras against the Three Kingdoms' joint invasion of Pars. Despite having few warriors on his side, Narcissus was able to assist the kingdom of Pars win by using a cunning strategy. Dariun urges Narcissus to quit painting and begin serving Prince Arslan, but he refuses. Narcissus is content to remain in the mountains and pursue peace and art. After a while, a Carlin man comes up to the Narcissus home. Because Dariun walked the route to the mountains in front of Carlin's palace, the Carlin troops were able to locate Narcissus' cottage. Dariun wants Narcissus to serve Prince Arslan and stop painting, but Narcissus believes that Dariun does not understand the value of art. Upon entering the cottage after inquiring for Dariun and Prince Arslan, the Carlin men announce that Varus has passed away. They provide Narcissus with Carlin's proposal to work for him. As a reward, Narcissus will receive status from Carlin, but Narcissus opposes it. As soon as the Carlin troops approach Narcissus to assault him, they are defeated by Narcissus' plot and fall into the water trench. Dariun tries to persuade Narcissus once more to serve Prince Arslan, but he refuses. During breakfast, Prince Arslan is in deep thought as he thinks of himself as useless. He hates himself yet gathers the fortitude to persuade Narcissus to serve him. Narcissus attempts to argue as usual, but when Prince promises to reward him by giving him the position of court painter, he readily agrees. Prince Arslan only had the warrior Dariun with him when he came to Narcissus, but today he is accompanied by the strategist Narcissus and his assistant Elam. They set out on their rough journey, which would be fraught with difficulties. After successfully exiting the Narcissus water trench, Carlin's troops discover that their horses have gone. They descend the mountain on foot. While waiting for the Carlin troops to leave, Prince Arslan and everyone else is living in the cave. During their time in the cave, according to Narcissus, they must devise a plan to use Carlin's encirclement to their advantage. And they can do this by forcing the opposition to concentrate its forces where Narcissus' squad wants to be. Narcissus tells Dariun not to murder Carlin if he ever encounters him, since Carlin might be aware of something beyond belief. In the royal capital, cavalry captain Kishwar learns that the Parsian army has been defeated and that the Lusitanians are now making their way to Ecbatana's walls. As soon as the city heard the news, people started to fear that their powerful king had been defeated. Soon, Lusitanian army arrives with cavalry captain Shapur, chained and covered in blood. Bodin, the archpriest of the Yaldabaoth religion, says that by slicing Shapur's body into pieces, they will communicate the word of God. He claims that people who disobey their god suffer this destiny. When Captain Shapur refuses to serve Yaldabaoth until the very end, Bodin mercilessly starts beating him. To ensure he does not endure any further pain and that he passes away quietly, Captain Shapur ordered the Parsian troops to shoot him with their arrow. Parsian soldiers try to hail their arrows, but none of the arrows reaches the limit where Lusitanian soldiers are present. Out of nowhere, an arrow strikes Captain Shapur in the middle of the head, making Shapur reach his death. Upon seeing the boy's archery from the palace, the queen Tahamane summons him. The conflict between the Parsian and Lusitanian begins, and the Lusitanian advances on the city in an effort to enter in. The Lusitanians use all means at their disposal to attempt to climb the Ecbatana wall and open the city gate, but it is not a simple task. At the castle, the young man identifies himself as Give, a traveling musician. The queen praises him for his act and then dismisses him. Within the cave, Narcissus and Prince Arslan discuss the Lusitanian army's approach to taking the city. No one can open the city's gates from the outside because the gates are too sturdy. Prince is still in disbelief after learning that the gates can be opened from within, meaning that the Lusitanian army would provoke inside slaves to protest for their freedom and open the gates to let them in. According to Narcissus, the slaves in Ecbatana would rise to overthrow the city. The Ecbatana slaves are agitated by the Lusitanian soldiers to rebel and unlock the door. Finally, their words reached the slaves' brains, and the flame of revolt soon began to ignite throughout the city. Give is approached by Huzrab, the Grand Vizier, who requests his assistance in fighting the Lusitanian army, and Give agrees to do so. The Grand Vizier requests that Give use a secret route to accompany the Lady Queen to a secure location outside the castle. At night, Give leads Queen along a covert route. Narcissus informs Dariun that they just need to defeat Carlin and not the entire Lusitanian army. It's all about strategy and not just having enough power to win. Narcissus claims that Carlin won't stand without killing Prince Arslan, which is when they will take him down. Elam tells Narcissus that the Carlin soldiers are still looking for them haphazardly and have not yet left. While they are moving through the subterrane, Give is aware that the woman he is traveling with is not the queen. Give refuses to take the woman in line any farther, prompting her to hit him and run. She encounters Silver Mask, Carlin, and other Lusitanian troops who had infiltrated the city in quest of the queen. After discovering that the woman is not the queen, the Silver Mask kills her. Give arrives there just then, and they start fighting. In order to continue searching for Queen and avoid wasting time, Silver Mask retreats from the situation. Lusitanian soldiers are fighting outside the city wall and attempting to enter the city. Slaves ignite a fire across the city, and it even reaches the castle. Captain Sam witnesses the fire in the castle and rushes towards it, but inside the castle, he comes across Carlin. Sam tries to assassinate Carlin since he believes him to be a traitor, but Lusitanian soldiers knock him down. Slaves in the city outweigh the soldiers and royals and take control of the city gate. The Lusitanian army invades the city and wreaks devastation on the warriors of the Parsians. Ecbatana's royal capital is quickly destroyed. Andragoras is still unknown, and Pars is plugged into the darkness of chaos. Innocentus, the king of Lusitania, arrives at the city after capturing control of Ecbatana's royal capital. He ascends to the throne and takes over as the new ruler of Pars. Innocentus is presented to Queen Tahamane after her arrest by the Silver Man. Innocentus takes a glance at Tahamane and instantly falls in love with her beauty, deciding to wed her. Everyone opposes his choice, even his royal brother Giscard, the supreme commander of the royal army, but he denies changing the decision. Soldiers from Lusitania wander the city, stealing everything they want against the owner's consent. Among the Lusitanian troops is a young boy searching for the Lusitanian slaves. He is the same boy taken to Ecbatana 3 years ago as a prisoner. Carlin departs the city with his warriors in quest of Prince Arslan. As Carlin and his forces are leaving, a Lusitanian soldier approaches a young woman and attempts to harass her, but the same Lusitanian boy can't stand it and runs to help her. He saw the girl murder the soldier who had been harassing her. The Lusitanian boy engages in combat with her to reveal her true identity. During the fight, the girl's wig comes out and appears to be Ilum. Ilum has infiltrated the city while posing as a woman in order to collect information for Prince Arslan. While the struggle is going on, a few slaves surround the Lusitanian boy and accuse him of not releasing them as promised after unlocking the gate. The Lusitanians missile the slaves and did little to help them. While this is going on, Ilum seizes the chance and escapes. He reaches back to the cave and informs Prince Arslan that Carlin has left to catch him. Prince Arslan sets off on a trip with his supporters to take Carlin down. Giv has taken advantage of the conflict in Pars and stole some money to carry on his journey as the traveling musician. On his way, he witnesses a beautiful lady being captured by Lusitanian soldiers. Giv approaches them, and the lady seizes the chance to kill the soldiers. Giv approaches the lady, and she introduces herself as Farangus, the priestess of the Temple of Mithra. She informs Giv that she is looking for Prince Arslan. Meanwhile, Carlin is burning Pars nearby villages in search of Prince Arslan. In pursuit of Prince Arslan, Farangus is on the way while Giv accompanies her in her journey. On Giv's demand, Farangus reveals that she is seeking Prince Arslan because the Temple of Mithra was the donation made in Prince Arslan's name upon his birth. It was last High Kahina's wish that whenever Prince Arslan fell in danger, someone with high talent must go to aid him. Carlin continues with his troops to kill Prince Arslan, but luckily, he falls for Narcissus' trick. Carlin's troops get trapped in an unfavorable location where Prince Arslan and his allies attack them. Farangus and Giv, by following Carlin's troops, also reach there and help Prince Arslan in his fight. Carlin's troops face defeat after losing their morale in the combat. Carlin comes across Dariun in the lust of killing Prince Arslan. During the battle with Dariun, Carlin accidentally falls on his dagger. Dagger digs in Carlin's heart and leads him towards his last breaths. Before dying, Carlin reveals the king is alive, much to Dariun and Prince Arslan's relief. Farangus then officially introduces herself to Prince Arslan. As Farangus is a priestess, Prince wants Farangus to mourn for the dead warriors. In the Lusitanian prison, the Silver Mask reveals his name to Andragoras as Hermes and her father as Osros. Osros was the previous king and the brother of Andragoras. Hermes believes he is the true king of Pars and is enraged over Andragoras because he killed his father 16 years ago. Dariun and Narcissus infiltrate the capital in search of information on Andragoras and the queen. Dariun comes across the Silver Mask and gets involved in a fierce battle with him. In the combat, he unveils Hermes and comes to know that he wears the mask to hide his burning scar. Narcissus assists Dariun in his battle with Hermes, but when other Lusitanian soldiers approach, they decide to retreat. Arslan encounters Etoile, the Lusitanian prisoner he met 3 years before. Both recognize each other, and Etoile tells that he is now in charge of a small unit in Lusitanian army. However, Etoile is unaware that Arslan is the prince and is the person Lusitanian army is looking for. As they travel, Arslan and his companions seek refuge at Lord Hodor's Kashan fortress, but they soon come to understand Hodor's true motives for accommodating them. Hodor wants Prince Arslan to wed his daughter and sacrifice his comrades, but the prince refuses and opts to flee the palace with his companions. While leaving, when Hodor realizes he won't make use of Prince Arslan, he tries to kill him through his men, but Farangus and Giv do not let his plan succeed. Dariun kills Hodor in combat and successfully leaves his castle. Now, to carry out their plan to bring the royal capital back, they decide to proceed to Peshawar. Captain Sam awakens at the royal capital and is shocked to learn why he wasn't killed. He is approached by Hermes, who displays his face and explains his true identity as the son of the last king. Sam is left alone to choose the deserting Pars' future king. While traveling to the fortress in Peshawar, Arslan's group is forced to break up as they are chased by forces commanded by Zande, Carlin's son, who is seeking revenge for his father. While fighting the Zande, Dariun and Farangus are astounded by the enormous strength displayed by Zande. When Zande gets unhorsed during the battle, Dariun purposefully chooses not to murder him and instead opts to flee with Farangus. Elsewhere, Prince Arslan, Giv, and Ilum have to face Zande's soldiers. While escaping from them, Ilum falls from his horse and Prince Arslan, despite being royalty, decides to help his friend. After the combat, Giv believes Prince Arslan is unique among other royals and will build a wonderful kingdom with his benevolence. Prince Arslan's allies are divided in 3 and are on their way to Peshawar. However, on their way, they have to face Lusitanian soldiers. Narcissus takes the shorter route to Peshawar and passes through the Zot clan. There, he notices Hermes engaging in combat with the members of the Zot clan and killing the clan chief. Alfried, daughter of the Zot clan chief, after witnessing her father's death, gets enraged and tries to get Hermes down. But when she's about to be killed at Hermes' hands, Narcissus saves her. Narcissus' trick fully escapes with Alfried, and later, Alfried, after getting out of her grief, decides to accompany Narcissus on his journey. Elsewhere, Darien is approached by Zonda again. Prince Arslan and his allies also appear there, and the group unites again. Xanda has a devil, using the Earth time travel on his side. When the devil is on edge to kill Prince Arslan, Darien approaches in a slash and attacks him. Xanda gets hit by Give's arrow and fall from the cliff. Prince Arslan with his allies now has to continue to Peshawar again. When Arslan's group reaches the citadel of Peshawar, Captain Kishwat and Bahman greet them and swear their loyalty. However, issues show up rapidly when Silver Mask tries to kill Prince Arslan in Peshawar. After a brief sword duel, the Silver Mask disarmed Arslan, forcing him to defend himself with the adjacent fire torch. Due to an attempted fire murder, Silver Mask displays a fire fear. When Silver Mask drops his guard, Arslan's pals show up and take charge of the situation. Silver Mask exposes his genuine identity to everyone, shocking them all. During the fight, Silver Mask seizes the chance to murder Arslan, but as he approaches, Bahman blocks the blow. It seems that Bahman taught Hermes how to use a sword and was asked to guard Arslan by his longtime friend Varys. Hermes doesn't want to kill Bahman, so he gets confused and runs away. A messenger soon alerts them about the arrival of 1,000 Shindra warriors at the border of Peshawar. The army of Sindarin, led by the second prince, Ranjendra, is approaching with around 50,000 troops. On Darien and Narcissus' advice, Arslan decides to remain in the Peshawar castle, while the rest go to fight against Sindarin. Kishwat, with his army of just 10,000 men, fights on the battlefield. The main army of Sinjura tries to push back, but the Sindarin troops are shocked to discover First Prince Gadivi's warriors atop a hill, hitting them with arrow fire from their rear. In reality, they are Parjan soldiers hidden under Sinjura's banners and uniforms. Sinjura's army loses its morale and ends up falling into Narcissus' plot. After being taken prisoner to Peshawar, Prince Arslan convinces second prince Rajendra to side with him in the fight against the first Prince Gadavi. Prince Rajendra initially resists, but eventually chooses to go with him. Arslan made the decision to join Rajendra's army as they marched in the direction of Sinjura, leaving the defense of Peshawar to Kishwat. The first Prince Gadavi learns news of Rajendra and Arslan's partnership in Urayur, which enrages him. Mahendra, the Grand Vizier, tells him that Rajendra has already been accompanied by one of his men. While on their way to Shindran, the Shindran guide Jaswan is introduced to Arslan and his people, who help Rajendra in his fight against his brother Gadavi. Jaswan is not who he claims to be, but the group quickly realizes this for their own gain. Arslan's army must pass through the stronghold of Gudrat in order to reach Shindran, so Keev and Jaswan appear to the castle commander and ask him to permit Arslan's army to pass through. However, Jaswan quickly tells the fort's commander who he is and swears to stop the army from passing. Later, the fortress commander and the first Prince Gadavi meet, both of whom exude confidence that they will easily beat Arslan's army due to the presence of war elephants that are difficult to defeat. The battle starts and Gadavi orders his troops to destroy the alliance between Arslan and Rajendra. During the fight, word spreads that the Parjan army is trapped inside Gujarat fortress and must remain there. Gadavi sends his main army against Rajendra's in an effort to take the upper hand since he thinks he has the Parjan troops cornered. But to everyone's surprise, the Parjans then join the fight to turn the tables on Gadavi after once again outwitting their adversaries. Gadavi is defeated as a result of another strong strategy by Narcissus. Gadavi comes to his father and the throne king Karakala. He requests him to stop Rajendra from attacking him, but King denies it and instead announces to settle the matter before the gods. King Karakala of Shindra demands a battle to resolve the conflict between the two princes. Darien, appointed as Rajendra's representative, engages in combat with Bahadur, a huge and ferocious warrior that Gadavi had freed from prison to fight as his proxy. After engaging in a fierce battle with Bahadur, Darien defeats him and wins the battle for Rajendra. Gadavi, unhappy with the outcome, turns on his own father and makes an attempt to kill him. Rajendra steps forward to defend his father, and a battle between the two armies of Gadavi and Rajendra ensues. When the great commander Mahendra tries to stop Gadavi and demands him to obey before the results of God, he fiercely attacks him. The army halt and Mahendra is wounded and loses the will to continue fighting. Gadavi is imprisoned for disobeying God's instructions and rebelling against his father. On the other hand, Rajendra seizes control of Shindra and has the entire army pursuing him. Jaswan, who considers Mahendra as his father, deeply moans on his death. After his father's death and his brother's execution, Rajendra has crowned the king of Shindra. Arslan and his army return to Pars, and Rajendra repays him by lending his soldiers to Arslan. On the way back in the war camp, it comes up that Rajendra was plotting a scheme and only lent his soldiers to overthrow the Pars kingdom. However, after Mahendra's death, Jaswant serves Prince Arslan and reveals Rajendra's scheme to him. After Rajendra is defeated, Prince forces him to sign a contract promising not to gaze at Pars for 3 years, else he would keep him in captivity, and the neighboring regions of Shindra would rule Shindra while he was away. Now that Jaswan is a member of his team, Arslan heads back to Pars, the citadel of Peshawar, while in Ekbatana, Silver Mask recruits supporters and troops in preparation for the day when he will liberate Pars and ascend to the throne. Prince Arslan has written a decree in Peshawar that calls all Parsans to come to Peshawar and support Prince Arslan in his fight against Lusitanians. In addition, Prince Arslan issues a proclamation declaring his intention to remove slavery once he assumes the throne of Pars. Many lords and generals have responded to Arslan's statement and have come to Peshawar, including Lucian, Zarvant, Espen, and Tuz. A Lusitanian soldier, Etoile, is infiltrating the citadel at the same time to spy on the Parsans. Etoile comes across Arslan and converses about the decree that freed the slaves. He thinks of him as a kind man, but he later realizes that he still does not know his name. He hopes never to encounter him on the battlefield. Kiev is exiled from Pars as a result of his terrible behavior. Hugh says farewell and departs without greeting anyone. Later, at Arslan Chamber, it is revealed that Kiev's banishment was an act. Narcissus informs that he sends him on a mission to find a very important person Prince will meet in the battle against Lusitanian. The next day is the immense army of Arslan leave Peshawar toward the west, toward Ekbatana. Later, as the lords are leading the vanguard, they perceive a Lusitanian's fortification before them and decide to attack it in search of glory in the battlefield, even if the troops behind them will be unable to communicate with them or join them. However, it proved to be a trap, as Lusitanian on the cliffs along the road thrown tree on the road, which result in the lord's force being cut off from the rest of the army and be attacked by Lusitanian cavalry and infantry. The lord's force have been surrounded by their pursuers, and they prepare to die, with the goal of their death being known in vain. However, before they can engage, the rest of the Parsan army, led by Kishward and Dariun, attack the Lusitanian, and the lords decide to join them in the fight. It revealed that it is Kiev who found them. After the defeat of the Lusitanians, the lords kneel before Arslan and ask why he come back to save them. At Ekbatana, Giscard and the Lusitanian generals receive reports about Arslan's army strength. Giscard said the number of soldiers under Arslan has been altered in order to lure the Lusitanian army. Hermes asked to be put in command of 70,000 Lusitanian soldiers that he will lead with his 30,000 Parsan soldiers to defeat Arslan. Giscard agrees to the demand. Later, Hermes visits Andragoras and tells him he will lead to fight his son, but Andragoras shows himself not affected by the news. Arslan is contemplating the war's fatalities and the training of his warriors as he prepares to face Lusitania on the battlefield. At St. Emmanuel, Hermes passionately addresses the 100,000 troops there, including Etoile. As the battle starts, Captain Sam is fighting on Hermes' side to bring the rightful king of Pars to justice. After surviving, Xanda battled Darian to exact his father Carlin's retribution, but he once more faced defeat. A man coming out from the earth shoots an arrow toward him that is deflect. The man takes Xanda's body away, but not before saying blood has not shed enough yet. Etoile, while searching for Prince's camp, comes across Prince Arslan, who he believes is a pampered, wealthy boy. When Arslan introduces himself as the prince, Etoile stands in shock. Etoile advances to murder Arslan since he thinks he is duped, but Elam defends Prince by taking the attack on him. Etoile and his troops are forced to flee, but Etoile regrets it because he had several opportunities to kill the prince. Arslan and his soldiers enter the castle, where he encounters Silver Mask. Prince wants his cousin to reason his deeds, but Silver Mask, on the other hand, is unreceptive and challenges Dariun to fight. Dariun has serious injuries as a consequence of the duel, and Silver Mask vanishes due to the Black Earth magic. Victorious and in control of the castle, Prince Arslan stands there. Lusitanians start killing themselves after losing, and the court lord also tries to kill him. Prince tries to stop him, but the court lord stammers to death in Prince's hands during the struggle. Etoile steps in and expresses anger with Prince as she thinks he killed Barcation. He fights Prince, losing his helmet in the process. It becomes clear that Etoile is a young woman and is furious at the death of her lord. Meanwhile, Farangus shows up and imprisons her. The Parsan army captures the keep of St. Emmanuel, and at Arslan's request, they take the Lusitanian survivors with them as they advance towards Ekbatana, including Etoile. who begins to behave more politely towards Prince. As a result of his return to the city, Silver Mask teams up treacherously with the Prince of Lusitania, Giscard. Prince Arslan is on his final march to Ecbatana to maintain his grasp on the Pars kingdom. After a long period of time in the year 321, Prince Arslan, at the age of 15, is not timid anymore. Instead is a strong boy who has the dream to be the king of Pars and make it a better place. The end. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more amazing recaps.